right, cheers. Barry, right now we're looking at a robotic bartender, right?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about this device you brought in.
This is Monsieur, the artificially intelligent robotic bartender, and it does exactly what you said. It pours awesome cocktails at the touch of a screen.
I invented Monsieur, an automated cocktail making machine, and then boom, I'm in Entrepreneur Magazine and on interviews, and I'm on CNN, and I'm doing all these things, and as I start to travel, I really start to feel what racism is.
Good afternoon, TechCrunch. I'm here today to talk to you about cocktails. Yes, cocktails. Don't you love them?
I went on stage and I launched that on a platform called TechCrunch Disrupt Battlefield. It's an amazing opportunity. You launch in front of tens of thousands of people, and I'm at the highlight of, at that point, my entrepreneurial career. As we got on stage, we were the only African Americans that were presenting that year. We do a fantastic job. We kill it, standing ovation. We go backstage, we have our machine on a cart and we're rolling it around, we're showing people, investors are coming up to us, and it's me and my black co-founder and my black investor. 2 security guards come up to us backstage and they say, "Hey, we would like you to come with us." And we're like, I'm talking to investors, like, we're good. Are we in any danger, right? Like, is something wrong? Like, what's going on? And the security guards look at us and they say 2 book bags were stolen from backstage. The fact that they come up to 3 of maybe 5 black individuals that were backstage at that time to question us about book bags that were stolen, when we were just the belles of the ball, just got off stage, that was the moment I really start to feel the discrepancies in what it means to be a traditional white male, what they're used to saying entrepreneur, and anyone else. I began to talk to my peers all over the country, and all the stories were similar. You can see it in people's mannerisms. You can see it in the questions that people ask when you're out fundraising. You can see it in the opportunities that people are given.
Capital is directly related to relationships. And the people with capital historically have not been in relationship with Black entrepreneurs. The vast majority of venture capital is distributed in California, New York, and Boston. Most of the people who receive venture capital graduate from Stanford, MIT, Harvard. Once you layer those facts on top of each other, you can see why less than 1% of venture capital dollars go to Black entrepreneurs.
Sometimes it's not about money. It's about access to your networks. It's about access to additional other resources, even experiences, right? These are things that can be invaluable to an entrepreneur.
And so as I matriculated out of selling off my IP for Monsieur, the only thing that was in my brain was, this is a bigger problem. This is something systemic. This is something that someone needs to step in and create a solution and solve for this. And that revelation built the foundation of what we're doing at Collab Capital.
I started my first business while I was in college. I was tired of being a broke college student with no money for dates. And I learned a lot. I learned a lot about myself, how to put together contracts, how to provide service and value. After school, I decided to go into the corporate world. That's what you were told to do, right? It's like, go to school, you go get a job. And I ended up at an email marketing company that was providing resources and technology to these large corporations. I worked there for about 2 years and realized that a lot of small businesses and medium-sized businesses did not have access to this emerging technology. So I left with aspirations of providing that same level of service and quality, but to small and medium-sized businesses. And I started my second agency and continued to work on that for several years.
My first real company was called Part Pick, and it came out of my experience working at a parts distribution company and seeing that people were having a difficult time locating products.
If you need to find this part,
How would you describe it? Part pick is visual search for replacement parts. I had several different experiences with investors who could not understand how a Black woman could, one, come up with this idea, two, manage a team around, building the technology out, and three, sell into this industry that was very old, white, male dominated. I made a vow to myself that when I got on the other side of building that company, that I would become an investor, because I didn't want other entrepreneurs who shared any parts of my background to have the experience that I had.
We all grew up as entrepreneurs together, and all of us kind of exited our businesses at similar times, and it was right at that time where we were all just really diving into how do we make the world a better place for the next generation of innovative Black founders.
Barry really thought about what does it look like for us to be intentional about getting capital to Black entrepreneurs. And then Justin, he had this idea around a venture studio and what does it look like for us to get the right technical support and mentorship to entrepreneurs to help them at a very early stage. And my idea was just about, I know that there are so many entrepreneurs that I'm meeting that need more money. We need to get them more money. And honestly, it took us a minute to get to the conclusion that we should raise a fund. We circled around it. We kind of wanted to do different types of structures, but eventually realized that a fund was going to be the best way for us to get capital to the entrepreneurs that we wanted to invest in. And we started out with a goal of $10 million.
We were hosting a lot of dinners for high net worth individuals, and we were making some good traction, some good headway. And then the pandemic hit and just wiped out a bunch of wealth, wiped out a bunch of opportunity.
Nearly a 10% drop in the Dow in the first minute of trading this Monday morning. Of course, it comes as the coronavirus crisis continued to spread around the globe.
Interest rates on U.S. bonds sank to all-time lows today, a sign investors expect the economy to struggle.
But I think we all had conviction about what we were doing. And I remember thinking, we are incredibly talented. We know that there are so many entrepreneurs who could use the capital that we already have access to. And so I met with Barry and Justin, told them 10 million was not going to get us to our goals. We decided that we needed to have a bigger fund.
But when the pandemic hit, investment kind of dried up, meetings dried up.
So we started refining our pitch and what it is that we were building.
We stood in our truth. We stood in what we knew that we were supposed to be doing. And when people came back up for air kind of post-COVID, George Floyd was murdered.
And people were searching for what can they do for the Black community. At that time, we already had our fund stood up. We had raised about almost $10 million.
Many investment companies, many corporations, they laid out all this capital to help the Black community. And a $10 million fund eventually blossomed and became a $50 million fund. We 5X'd our opportunity for impact.
The reality is, if there was equitable concentration of capital and access to opportunity in our country, we wouldn't have a situation where there is this gross inequity around who is murdered at the hands of police, or gross inequity around who has access to good paying jobs. And so I think that is part of why we saw capital move, because people know that it has not been easy for Black folks to access it. And that there has to be specific initiatives to right some of the wrongs that we have seen, specifically around access to capital. As someone who calls myself a Christian, I think there needs to be a tie between not just pursuit of money so that you can be rich and have nice things, but a pursuit of means so that you can get work done in communities, and so that you can be more generous to the people who need it, and so that you can care for the poor. Those are things and principles that I wish we can get back to, because I think that's a powerful place for the church to sit as that center ground for organizing and being sort of at the root of the work that we're doing around justice.
As risky as it may be to go into a world rooted in systemic racism and say we're only doing things for Black people, it's rooted in faith. Faith is everything for me and my partners and everything that we do, because it gives us the strength and the courage to take on some pretty big tasks. And so when we started, one of the big things that we began to realize through our research is that the venture capital, the innovation economy, it was broken some because of the people that were there today, but really it was systemic. And there wasn't like an easy solution to fix it. And so one of the big differences of what we began to build and what our idea was we need to build a system that can be successful whether the traditional old system wanted to come with us or not.
What we wanted to do was give founders the option to share profits with us as an alternative to venture scale returns.
Making it so that there are multiple pathways to success.
Because as you're building your business, sometimes the market will tell you that people aren't willing to pay $1,000 for that. They're only willing to pay $50 for that. But that can still be a good and profitable business. So we wanted to make sure that they had a choice that say, instead of closing the business down or selling it even, what if you were able to retain ownership, produce returns for your investors through profits?
We can illuminate what an entrepreneur feels is success for them. For them, it may be passing their business down in their family and creating generational wealth that way.
Or if you do decide to sell that business at a later point, you'll have a lot more upside owning 75, 80, 90% of that business as opposed to 5, 6% of that business, which is what you typically see in venture scale and venture size businesses.
The idea that success can look different in our community is really the foundation of what we built.
So we have a financial product called the Space Agreement, which is an acronym for a shared profit and collaborative endorsement agreement.
The SPACE model allows for us to continue to support businesses and generate returns, but just in a way where we're not focused on hyper growth, but we're really focused on helping these businesses get to a point where they are profitable. If we see that it's not the unicorn path for a business, we want to help them get to a point where they are sustainable.
We also bring what's called a growth partner, that collaborative endorsement piece. We bring a growth partner to that investment to help accelerate. So that's all about unlocking that network potential, that network capital.
There are these mechanisms that we built into our agreement that really thought about what does it look like for success to be defined differently than the $1 billion exit.
Not everybody wants to start a business and be an entrepreneur. So for those people, I want to be able to make sure I have enough capital to create opportunities for other people. My name is Julius Bryant. I'm founder and CEO of Jack's Rideshare Rentals. We're based here in Atlanta, Georgia, and we are a vehicle marketplace for gig workers. We have our own technology that allows us to reach our customers directly. So we're a scalable tech company, right? Other part of it is we're a rental car company. That doesn't fit squarely into the traditional VC model, right? They have a different type of structure that allows for a business who might not fit squarely into that model to still have the opportunity to take on additional investment capital to scale the business.
2020 was rough for me. I lost my grandmother, I lost a great aunt, an uncle, 2 cousins, and then last year in 2021, January 2021, I lost my mother. Experiencing such a large amount of loss, you start to wonder, like, what's it all for? You know, it was hard to really wake up sometimes and get out of bed. And it was my belief. It was my belief that God had something greater for me than this moment, than this pain that I was experiencing. And that if I could just roll out of bed, he could do the rest. You know, he could order my steps and allow me to tell my story and why this work is important. And I love this community. This is such an honor and just a privilege to be in this room, I see a lot of power.
Good morning, folks. My name is Julius Bryant, co-founder and CEO of Jax.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Tracy Pickett. I'm the founder of Hairbrella.
My name is Lauren Wilson. I am the CEO and founder of I'm In Inc.
Shay Fabode, CEO, co-founder at Varuna.
My name is Brian Lattimore.
I'm Amy Lattimore.
We're co-founders of With Wellness.
I believe that healthy Black communities will solve a lot of the world's ills, in my opinion. So that's rooted in faith.
The themes that matter to me and that guide my work are around love and around grace and around mercy. An investment in our fund is really an investment in the entrepreneur who is going to not only build something for themselves and for their family, but have in mind the community that they're living in.
I think that's what Collab is doing by investing in founders who are rooted in their communities and are building businesses that are speaking and servicing to those communities.
Hopefully, the work that we're doing, it will be seen as a movement in that direction and have a positive effect in the entire community and in the world.